I'm Janie Grandel, and you're watching Voices 365, keeping our fingers on the pulse of the movement to bring you the voices forging our future.
Hi guys, my name is Bruno and I'm very passionate about a lot of things, but I can send three of them. That is psychology, my major course, climate action and social causes. And during my course I saw that you can combine the three of them and actually organize people so they can raise awareness and start acting on it. And that's what makes me passionate about how you can use psychology to actually make people excited and to promote change in a sustainable and socially more equal and just way, and fair way.
Hello everybody, this is Zahra Abu Taha, youth climate activist from Jordan. I'm passionate to nature, earth and climate actions. And I would love to say actual climate actions because in the past we used to know about climate change, but now we have to admit that the climate is already start changing, so we have to start our own actual actions. My inspiration came from God when He said, "Indeed, I will make successive authorities on this earth. So let's be a good successors for this earth who deserve to be on this planet."
I'm very excited to talk to you both of you. You have no idea. I've really been looking forward to this. Narrative is a very powerful thing. So to be able to start having these conversations it's an incredibly I'm incredibly blessed to be able to do it, especially with inspiring people like the two of you. It's really amazing. Zahra, you were starting with the most recent summit, within the 2018 summit in Amman, and there you were part of the hackathon. Then you went through the global pitch, and you then duly went and started your own company from that.
Yeah, actually, there was a sustainable event management guide, which was supposed to be piloted at that phase. And the Global Summit, I would like to thank Melanie St. James because she was a very potential lady to apply this concept at the summit. Yeah. And the author of this guide talked with me and showed me some implementation tools of this guide. And he told me that we are piloting this, and I told him, cool, that I'm already registering in this summit and I already took a place in the hackathon. And I told him I want to take a place in the summit, but at the same time I want to volunteer as one who will pilot this guide. We created team. For the first time I met them at the summit. I didn't know them before. And I told them, guys, I applied for an idea for refugees at the hackathon, but I want to switch the idea and I want to make this concept as business. So it was the first time talking about sustainable events as a business in Jordan and in MENA region in general. And we pitched the idea at the hackathon and we won the first place. The guide that was piloted at the summit based on ISO standards, 2121 ISO standards. So we used to, within checklists, specific checklists based on ISO, we used to manage and pre, during, and after events, either carbon footprint, water footprint, food, beverage, as I told you, sustainability, economic, social equity, and whatsoever related. Yeah.
It's amazing. And again, well done. What an exciting space to do it in. So the summit acted as a springboard for you to actually launch your business.
Yeah, and it actually was the let me say the amazing incubator for this team to know each others, because I told you I didn't know them before, and I suggested just to convert this concept to business, and we did it. And after the summit, we piloted this guide with 16 pilot projects with UNDP, with GIZ, Friedrich Ebert Stiftung, and some local and international organizations, ministries, professional associations. So during that, each time we used to edit on the guide because each event was like something like teaching us a new thing, and we have to implement more and we have to know more. So yeah, it was like pilot project, yes, but it was like developing this guide during the implementation.
Wow. So, Bruno, how is it that you came to be part of the summit in Rio? It's 2016.
Yes. So like the story starts, we kind of fell like a parachute. It was a huge coincidence that we were looking to get more involved in environmental issues, and we were still very young. We had 16 years old when we
You
went
were
there.
16.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we decided we wanted to engage in something new, in something different. And we saw the Global Summit applications open, and we said, oh, okay, let's try and volunteer to be like a volunteer during the day, like, you know, staff. But then we got to know Melanie, and she inspired us to take the lead on the climate economics part of the event. And it was amazing. We met so many inspiring people. And in 2016, as we saw in Brazil, we didn't have much of a conversation going on about environmental issues, not on the mainstream still. And those people that we met there, they already had plans, they already had businesses that were focused on that. So it really inspired us to know, to get to know more, and maybe in the future start something of our own, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys have been doing some interesting things since, but I'm sure from the perspective of the people who are attending, because I've been to a lot of different events, and it's not often that they're youth in the room, let alone that they're running a program on the climate aspect of things. So I think the people there were very lucky to have the two of you facilitating that space. And I mean, you ran, as far as I understand, you ran the whole program. Which is quite profound. and again, wonderfully inspiring, especially since, you know, we're going to be talking a little bit more about where you've headed since. I mean, you know, sometimes you have those things as, where are they now? You know, like if they were there then, where are they now? That's pretty impressive. So look forward to kind of getting into that. I've noticed you and Kai, you've kind of gone in some different directions. You decided to go the psychology route, and he's gone into the investing space. From the psychology perspective, how did that come about? How and where did you go, I want to do this? It's going to be psychology.
Okay, so actually, since I've known that I wanted psychology since I was little, kind of, not psychology on itself, but everyone always said, oh, you're very good at hearing people. And when I was at the Global Summit, I saw how, like in the Global Summit, I started seeing how to interact with people that were older than me and had different life stories, and how this actually like had a way of hearing and had a way of understanding. And afterwards, I just dived in and started looking more and more. And also, I'm LGBTQI, and this part of studying about LGBTQI society, like community, and the ways that the coming out stories and how this affects the psychological aspects of people, and how it's important for them to have a supportive family, got me into way more into psychology. And I saw that's what I want to do, that's what I want to work with. And afterwards, actually, what happened was that I started doing psychology, and I saw that, no, I don't want to do therapy, like clinical space.
Yeah.
And I went back to the Global Summit, and I saw like how to interact with people and do the management. And I saw that I actually like the organizational psychology of stuff. So it always kind of connected each other.
Yeah, that's definitely needed. In the space of a systems worldview, as the organizational psychologists, yeah, they're invaluable. So Zahra, tell me, we were looking at why you're doing the work you do, what the focus is, why does it matter, and what you want to achieve.
Yeah, actually, first of all, I have the feeling that a quote that changed my life, that we have to go green because there is no planet B. So at the short bio that I sent to you, I mentioned that I'm belonging to Earth and I'm aiming to reach the glories of the Earth and the sky, because I feel that God appreciate the work with like for environment and for the planet. Yeah. So that's why. On the other hand, I feel like the last sentence was in the declaration that I told you about. To those who are waiting for the right moment to act, that moment is now. Yeah.
That's the last sentence of the declaration. So we were discussing before, just to put this in perspective for our viewers and for Bruno, just
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about this climate declaration that you and the other 12 individuals and young leaders are putting together. A little bit more about the background of it and what it's about.
Yeah, actually, it was like about a declaration which addresses some topics related to climate action, for example, energy transitions, social and economic drivers, public transportation, infrastructures, and sustainable cities. So, as 12 young people, we addressed that and we worked on a global youth climate action declaration, and we call it climate action because we have to take actions, we have to start our actions, because I can't remember who's the leader who said that, but in the New York summit, a leader, he said we don't have to say climate change, because the climate changed. It's not climate change, the climate changed, and we are seeing that, like we start seeing that, we start seeing flooding in Italy. We last year we have like a tragic accident in Jordan. We lost 20, we lost 21 kids in one tragic accident. It was like heart touching, because unexpected rain came during a school trip, and the flooding was like just throwing them in the Dead Sea, and they died. 21 kids, they died. And after that, some like technical teams said no, it was not climate change. And I was like thinking about, what if was climate change? Like, either if it was or not, but what if it was climate change? Do we have to wait for like having like actual tragic accident caused by climate change? Why do we have to wait? We have to work. Yeah. So that's why I'm doing that work. Yeah.
It's very powerful what you say about him saying to shift the narrative and say it has changed. Let's stop talking about the problem and start talking about solutions. Things like you guys are doing in your business, and the work that you do on a daily basis. You work with corporates regularly in terms of looking at event planning according to the ISO standard that you spoke of.
Yeah, actually, we worked with the local and in international organizations, ministries, professional associations. And the thing that I mentioned that during like a previous interview at the SDG Media Zone, I found that life is not only about events. So that's why I developed and improved my business. And right now I'm working to convert it to hub or a platform for all green businesses and all green ideas according to events or something not related to events, because each single thing that we are doing in our lives are events and are activities. So if I just want to limitate my work in events, I'm not doing anything for the climate and for the environment. Yeah,
that's very powerful. It sounds like you must create an entirely new ISO standard, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm going to direct this question to Bruno. So Bruno, tell us why you're doing the work you do. At least in this case academically, and then of course I saw this company that you interned for during the summer. They looked like a really interesting company. I don't know if you find that you want to address this in this particular question, what the focus is, why it matters, and what you want to achieve.
Okay, so my summer internship was like a way of reaffirming my interest in working with organizations and working with psychology. So I went to this big company here in Portugal called Jerônimo Martins, but I worked more on human resources as per se. But the interesting part was to discover how they had like corporate responsibility policies and how they were planning to prepare to climate change and to prepare to the social issues that are becoming more evident as we see the climate emergency that's coming into place, you know. But like this was just an inspiration because now I see that by studying psychology and the organizations that I want to follow another path that is more specific because I used to work in another organization called Isaac, and we saw that we had a lot of problem engaging volunteers and keeping them motivated and keeping them like aware that not aware but like captivated and like on to the change and to becoming like motors of change. So what I see that I can do with psychology and organizations is like you have an organization, a social organization that the volunteers keep getting demotivated or they are not like they do their work but they don't engage themselves into changing their own habits to help the world. So how can psychology get into that and actually help people stay engaged both with the organization and with the changes that they can do into their own lives, you know?
Yeah. It's a powerful context, the organization, because they do. I was trying to understand is it sustainable food production or transport? What particularly does the company's mission? I was just trying to unpack what they do. It looked incredibly interesting.
Jerônimo Martins in itself, it's a retail company that is focused on having more quality food, but at the same time they are very worried with the environment. So they have like meat and fish production, but the way that they manage, I'm not very good in like the details of their economy, but the way that they manage both these productions, that for me, I'm a vegetarian, I think that it's off, but at the same time, the way that they manage is way better than the general standard guidelines. So they're worried to have like quality food, but actually like have quality communities that are actually engaged on social issues and the environment in itself, you know. So they have like policies with their I forgot the word in English. The people that provide the food to them so that they can sell. They have policies and their own productions have like environmental policies that are made to like actually tackle many of the issues created by exploratory production, you know, as we see so much in Brazil with the meat production, with the predatory fishing, you know. So they're trying to actually become more sustainable.
It's a very interesting context inside of which to explore your new organizational psychology experience. Quite amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Zahra, your aha moment, the moment that led to this. How did you get here to this experience that you're having, the context in which you're serving now?
Yeah, actually, the aha moment was related to my personal life and the work that I'm doing in my community. For example, I believe that you are what your community needs. So if you are in a community who's living in a struggle with special needs people, you will focus on special needs and something like this. And in my community right now, I'm sorry for telling that we have the top one in the world engineers percentage to the people or to the population. So we have one engineer per 60 people in Jordan. So I'm an architectural engineer and we are all suffering from unemployment. My aha moment was that I have that much work and that much activities in climate and in environmental work. So I have also to sustain myself and to create my own opportunity. So I converted that to startup so I can sustain myself and I can keep going my work and my responsibility to the environment and to the climate and to my nation and even to this like universe, because in environment we are working locally but we are thinking globally.
Yeah.
So my aha moment was I have to keep up this work, but I can't sustain myself because I'm unemployed. So I have to create my own chance or my own opportunity. Yeah, that was my aha moment to like when I saw the concept of sustainable events, I suggested those guys, why don't we convert that to business? Yeah.
It's incredible.
So that was my aha moment, just to match between like the work for this earth and the work for yourself, because if you want to work in sustainability you have to be real, and once you are deciding to be real you have to sustain yourself first.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're all living in very new times. We're just learning as we go, and it's powerful to be able to create your own path, and to sustain yourself in the process of being a pioneer. It's a very powerful thing.
Like I have to increase this concept between engineers, so I decided to do volunteering work with Jordan Engineering Association. I'm doing something like a green club. We have each month an event called Green Opportunity. I will share you a link of this event. We are gathering all engineers who are unemployed, but they have innovations and ideas in terms of the green economy, and we are mentoring them to convert those ideas to business. And we are trying to network them with investors, with incubators, or with even like potential clients for them. Thankfully for the Jordan Engineering Association, they host this initiative because they're providing me the venue, they are providing me all logistics to host these people, and because they have access for engineers, youth engineers, because they are the engineering association in Jordan. So I believe that networking is amazing in each field that you work in.
Bruno, your aha moment. So tell me a little bit about that.
So for me, I think when I got into college, I got a little bit numb, because everything was going on, and I felt that I had to focus just on one thing. But I started seeing that I was leaving parts of myself out. And when the elections in Brazil started happening, I know it has like a long time, but and Bolsonaro actually won the election. I saw, okay, I cannot just do the stuff that I'm doing right now. I have to do more, because actually you have like a president in Brazil that's actually doing less. And then I started seeing, I thought that my way was through Isaac, that I was working at the time. But then that I saw that actually no, that I have to shift. Okay, we are looking at the president in Brazil that is doing so bad for the environment and so bad for the people in general. You see, like Brazilians, I live in Portugal actually, we see Brazilian here that are actually suffering and actually have like emotional distress because of that. So how can we actually tackle this problem from here? How can we actually help people through here? I saw that like to Brazil, the only thing that I could do was like social media activism and talk with my friends and people that are there. But here there's actually so much that we can do. And there is this association that I'm now that's from Brazilian students and researchers that actually we are started working on projects related to that, related to support for women who suffer harassment in the university here, green support, green groups, and like research groups to start like validating the life of the Brazilians that are here that doesn't receive the support from the government there. So I think like when he got elected, it was like I have to start doing more. I have to start working more.
It's powerful to find the blessing in disguise that wasn't there before. Now suddenly there's all this empowerment that's happening, this kind of self-empowerment that wasn't there before.
Yes, that's very true.
So,
Yes.
so this is one of my favorite questions to ask.
Yeah.
I always like to hear, the influence that pop culture has on people's lives, and not even pop culture, but I mean just literature and books, and the archetypes and mythologies that we all live by and that we're all joined by. So, tell us what a book or series or movie that you might have watched recently has a character that's faced a similar obstacle to you that you've overcome, that made you
Yeah.
surprise yourself around about what you made of, sort of your hero's journey moment.
Yeah. Actually, two books. The first book, to be honest, I didn't read it, but I read the brief about it. It's called The Green Deal, which is addressing how, like, the religions are focusing on the importance of working to the environment and to the earth, because like mostly people who are talking by the name of religions, they are only making hate speech, and they are only making extremist bad images for their religions. And why? Just if the religion, if you believe that religion is something come from the sky, or like come from the god, you don't have to believe that it's something existent to harm people or to do bad stuffs with people. So focus on what's good stuff in it. So I just read a brief about it, and how it is important to be like, if you want to make something good to God, it's not only about praying, or it's not only about to be religious. It's also about like building this, doing good stuffs for the earth. And the second thing is not a book or a movie. It's a set of photos that I regularly used to see, the photos of uh, like like the animals in the seas and in under the water, how much they are like harmed from the plastic, and how much people are so mean when they are just consuming plastic without thinking about those like innocent animals and innocent spirits. So that was like heart touching for me, and it changed my life, because here in Middle East we have no incentives for going green. And on the other hand, we have like especially in Jordan, we are living in economic crisis. So our like priorities is not environment as people, as normal people, but I become more serious just to ban plastic from my life, just to be serious to take my shopping bag to the grocery, and for like, and that reflecting on my business. So now when I'm creating a platform, I'm grabbing people who have eco-friendly products and eco-friendly materials, eco-friendly even services.
Yeah.
So the thing that changed my life, those photos, those set of photos, because when you see, for example, a fish can't eat just because she is inside a plastic bag, and she's not a human just like us. She can't call, and she can't asking for help, and we can't see it because it's underwater. So we are keeping just using plastic for no reason. And you can measure, it's only not about plastic. You can measure so many practices that we are doing without we are feeling what we are doing for this like planet. Sometimes you sound so funny when you are talking about banning plastic, especially between people who don't have that much awareness, and they don't see that this is a priority, because we don't have that much oceans in Jordan. So when you start talking about like those innocent fishes, it's not matched to reality, because we don't. Our sea is one of them is like a mutual between other countries, and the other is Dead Sea without like any fishes or any animals, because it's very salty. So it's a big challenge to start convincing people to go green just because for nothing, because it's not a priority here, because the awareness is not that much. But when you start matching those with incentives for them, for example, with unemployed engineer, when you orient him or her to go green and to make a green business and to make a green product, so that will sustain himself and that will return back revenues for him, he will be like, he will get in the implementation directly. Even the awareness will be a part of the implementation, not vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's incredibly powerful. Awareness, and this takes us back to the psychology of things, Bruno.
Yeah.
So let me link that back to you then. Your kind of hero's journey moment around the awareness and the awareness of self, and any kind of pop culture or book or movie or literature that you really saw yourself in, and made an impact on your personal journey.
Okay, so I think I'll say two as well. First one is a book from Extinction Rebellion called "That's Not a Drill." Because actually, when I read it, the messages there were so powerful, that I was like, it was like connected with what I already was feeling with Bolsonaro and everything. And I thought, okay, I'm thinking about social problems focused on Bolsonaro, but there are also the other environmental problems that everything is connected. And when I started reading it and seeing it, I was like, I have to make everyone read this book. I have like, people have to know and get to know how this is an emergency, how we need to start acting right now so that we can prevent a disaster. So I read it, and like the awareness is like, we always start, I gave to a friend that gave to another, and this book is already like five, went through like five people, and like they always come back and they're like, what can I do, how can I change? And the other thing is actually a music from Brazil that's called Como os Nossos Pais, like our parents, because the music is very powerful, that it was from our period of dictatorship in Brazil, and it's very powerful because it says, oh, we are living like our parents, like nothing has changed. But at the same time, it has a message of hope, you know. And when I started listening, it came like mainstream during the elections last year, and I started listening and saw like we actually are living like our parents, in the sense that like people are changing but not fast enough. But at the same time, there is a hope. We can actually change faster. We can like bring more people awareness, and like not just awareness, but that, you know, like this little bug that gets in our head and like make us think, like, oh, okay, so I'm going to the supermarket, I'm not going to like get plastic bags for my vegetables. Okay, I can shift from using this kind of product for that kind of product that's more eco-friendly. So like making people aware, at the same time getting these bugs, so that when they're like acting on their daily lives, they're actually acting consciously. They're not just going through the motions and doing everything like they were taught to before, you know.
Yeah, the behavior change bug.
Yes.
Yes,
Exactly.
it's interesting. You know, behavior change it's such a funny thing, because you build up a habit, and then you think you sort of got it, and then like Zahra was saying about an addiction, it's sort of something that takes a little bit of time, and then you unlearn it, and it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how intergenerationally we manage or shift together and unlearn the things that we're doing together to start breaking these habits. Because you're talking about hope, and that hope is almost, I would like to see it as an inevitable hope. It's sort of like there's a tipping point, and it's just a matter of breaking our habits now, especially from the psychological perspective. So going forward, with regards to what we can do, Bruno, you're saying what can we do? Zahra, you're in your context, what are you finding that there are ways that that, you know, those watching, how could they get involved? How is it, you know, I mean, apart from supporting the various initiatives and just raising their awareness and understanding and following the various COP programs and just becoming informed, how and where is it in your space, in your context, would you find that people can from where they're sitting make create actions that really make systemic change and impact?
Yeah, actually, again, I just as I mentioned before that you are what your community needs. So, like communities differs in their needs. For example, again in Jordan, we have like unemployment, especially in between engineering youth community. And the second thing, we have like economical crisis because like the prices are going crazy and we have no oil, we have no that much resources in our country. So we have to create our own opportunities. So the thing that I feel the best way is to get these people in to create their own opportunities and to make them incentives and motivations to come to go green. For example, when I made the first time the green opportunity, the first session of a green opportunity, I was very like, I was shocked because how much people have this great ideas and this great potential products, and they don't even know how to make a business model canvas, and they don't even know how to get in uh, the right way to go to the right word, or to the right phrase that they will represent their ideas. And then so I found that those guys, if we involve them in real opportunities and if we involve them in real incentives for them, because as I told you, we have to sustain our lives. Like for example, in 2016, I used to do nothing. I just used everything remotely because I couldn't even move in country because I have no money, because I left my job, and like here is public transportation is really expensive because it's not that much served, especially outside of the capital, Amman. I'm living in a small town which is Salt, which is like it's outside of Amman. So the public transportation is really expensive. So when I want to go and to get my opportunity or to do something for climate, and I can't take a place just financially wise, so I found the best way for those guys: come and create your own opportunity, create your own product, create your own service. And from my side and from the Jordan engineering side, we can network you with other people. So once you are like having your motivation, some people have spiritual motivation, some people have religion motivation, and some people have like economical motivation, because when you create this chance for this guy, he will get a job, or at least he will get a revenue for himself or for herself. So that's the best way I find that I can involve youth in this work, because they have some challenges and you have to convert these challenges to opportunities. Especially that we still, like the majority of people, thinking that going green and thinking that environmental issues are options. It's not option. It's like it's about the air that we breathe. It's about the water that we drink. It's about our natural resources. It's about our climate. It's about everything. So it's not option. It has to be like involved in each single practices in our life, in each single decision that we make.
Yeah.
But as until now, the awareness of people, either like locally or internationally, the environment is for elite people or for some selected people to work on environment. Each one of us have to be like environmental activists in a way or another, because it's about everything related to us, starting from the air that we breathe, till the ecosystem, the full ecosystem that we live in.
Yeah, we're living on a physical planet, not in a bubble. There's an interaction that occurs, and yeah, it's almost absurd to imagine how on earth, that's not logic, daily logic. How is it that that's just not the way that we behave, in that we weren't taught eco-psychology in school? I mean, it's we all know kind of the kind of consumerist agenda as being quite prevalent, and it's interesting to be part of a generation that gets to see it shift and turn, and they become a lot more value placed on one's internal capacity and power than on what it is we can achieve externally that doesn't necessarily leave any kind of legacy. So
And actually, we are the last generation that can do that, because, like the previous generation, either if they mean it or they don't, they have they made disasters with this environment and this climate, and we are like the directly responsible generation to change, because you if we don't do anything, we will see our kids are suffering. The next generation will be like, each time I see a talk for the Greta Thunberg, I feel like it's really like heart touching, because she's scary and she's worried about her future, and she's supposed to be playing and she's supposed to be studying, but she's worried and she's like scary. Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a tricky thing, when you're looking at that, because it always seems like all the different generations are feeling like they're the ones who are responsible for something. That left it's kind of, there's an acceleration, because yes, it is definitely getting worse. In terms of where we're at now, and living in the era of anthropogenic climate change, it's very, very different. It's also tricky to kind of have been to live in a world where the consumer agenda is so strong psychologically, where it kind of grasps you, and everything you see and all the structures you were born into tell you that your behavior around consuming it's natural, and there's plenty, and just to carry on doing that, and then you end up in a position where you go, okay, I take responsibility. If I'd known, it would be very different. If I knew that I had a role in changing the structure that I'm living in and creating it differently, it would be very different. And it's interesting to see, you're talking about Greta, this new generation is kind of going, we're not, we don't have to sit back. We don't have to just, Bruno, you're talking about realizing that your government isn't something that you can count on, and going, well, look, if they're not doing that, let's come and show up and stand in our power and make things better ourselves, because there's policy, the government can't actually implement policy, but you can come and say, I can actually do this. And it's almost like the previous generations didn't feel like they had the confidence and power. They were celebrating a bit of mediocrity. And now interesting to see this emergence of going, we can do something and we can change. And there is a self-determination that is emerging that wasn't there before. In your space, Bruno, what are you experiencing around how those watching can get involved? I mean, apart from reading this book, the Extinction Rebellion that you were talking about, what can you tell us to inspire viewers toward different actions and behavioral change?
I think this is very hard to actually because I think in Portugal we have two groups, very strong groups in youth right now. One that is completely disengaged and in complete disbelief of their individual actions and what they can do to change and to show up, and another one that is so powerful and that's actually becoming aware, and that's actually shouting and really stepping in, and as you said, there's a self-determination. I think I have two things to say. For the ones that still believe, don't let all the bad events that are happening today demotivate you. What you're doing, it's worth, because it's you're creating the world where we can actually live in. You're creating the life that we want for ourselves and for our children. We are not just living and letting things pass by. We're actually engaging in action to change, So keep doing that. And for the people that are in disbelief or are disengaged, you have a say. You have a say in your life, and you have a say in your social life, in your community. So even if now things seem so worrying and it seems like there's nothing you can do, actually there is. You can start by doing the small things in your daily life, but and when you see, you're actually creating a ripple effect. So if you have this feeling that whatever I can do, I cannot change anything, actually you can. And if you start doing that, you're gonna see that you're inspiring other people. And when you see you're not just one person, you're like a whole community changing the environment around and actually like saving our planet. And it's not just about like change or saving the environment, but actually creating a life where we live in synergy with nature. And this is a good life. This is like a quality life. This reduces levels of stress. So like it's making good for yourself as well, you know.
Yeah, it's incredibly powerful, the psychology behind everything and how everything's connected. And there's some people that even believe that climate change is kind of a proxy for us to not only develop our self-determination, but also just to realize how much powerful we are, not only as one, like you were saying, Zahra, but as a community. It's really been amazing to speak to all of you. I'm so grateful for your time. You're incredibly inspiring, dynamic young people. And I'm proud to be living in a world that you're part of. Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for being part of the previous summits and for making the future summits what they're going to be, because you were part of them. And I look forward to staying in touch with your journeys and to following what you're doing and to getting as much awareness raising together as we possibly can.
True.
Thank you, Nonito, for the opportunity of us to like be here and be able to talk about that.
Thank you for watching this episode of Voices 365. Click on the links provided to subscribe to our monthly webcasts. And don't forget, why wait for change when you could be the change?